Alright, so this is my Igknight assault mode deck. It uses a small little Igknight engine, more using two of the level 4s, Igknight musket and Igknight Dragunov. As you can see, this one's scale 2, this one's scale 7. So I can summon between 3 and 6. In this deck, a lot of level 4s, so I'll be able to Pageman summon a lot of level 4s in a single turn. Alright, let's go off with a main combo to be able to like first turn start us, start us and then turn to assault mode, right? You will need either one of the two 4-star tuners. You'll need one musket and one Dragunov, and this is without the spell card. I'll get to Unexpected Guy after, second, but just just with the monsters, one of each of the Igknight's musket and one Dragunov, and one of either Rose Warrior Revenge or Flamevale Magician, or you have a secondary copy of musket or a Dragunov. You essentially want to have 3 monsters at least. You want one musket at least and one Dragunov. And if you have an extra musket or Dragunov, doesn't really matter. So what you do is obviously you'll play musket, you'll play Dragunov. Now you have a scale from 2 to 7, right? Then you will, since you have that extra level 4 monster in your hand, you will Pageman summon that level 4 from your hand onto the field, whether it be one of the tuners or any of the Igknights. Then afterwards you will use the Igknight's Pageman effect to destroy both musket and Dragunov to add a fire warrior from your deck to your hand. Depending on what you have, if you already have one of either of the two tuners on the field, you'll obviously get an extra copy of a Igknight, so that way you can almost summon in synchro to Stardust. Or if you Pageman summon one of your Igknights, then you will search out your Rose Warrior Revenge because it's a fire warrior. Flamevale Magician is not, but I'm a fan of Flamevale Magician. He's 1400, so he gets under bomb list, all that good stuff. So, and then this deck is largely fire, so why not? But if he was if they come up with a level 4 fire warrior tuner, then obviously you want to replace Flamevale Magician with that one. Just to keep with the fire warrior theme. Now that's by just having 3 monsters. Using the pendulum concept in order to first turn Stardust, right? Another thing you can do, a real quick and simple, straightforward combo will be to play Unexpected Guy. You activate it. Since you control no monsters, you can special summon a level 4 or lower normal monster from your deck, and both the Igknights in the deck, they're level 4 normal monsters. Simple enough, right? Boom, there you got your non-tuner. Then you summon one of your tuners in synchro. Simple enough. And then you have your assault mode activate, Stardust assault mode, all the good toys. Now we have pretty much explain everything else. Her effect doesn't matter too much, but if you deal battle damage with her, you deal an extra 300 damage. So if your opponent is wide open, right, and you do a direct attack, you'll be dealing 1900 instead of just 1600. But if you attack a monster in attack mode, like let's say a monster that's 1500 attacking, you attack it, you're dealing an extra 300. That might matter, that could win you a duel, whatever. Not too big of a deal. You're just using it for synchro material. And Flamevale Magician only gets gets an extra 400 attack if you have an ally of justice on your side of the field. Doesn't matter too much. It's just because it's a tuner you're using it. Igknight musket has 1400 attack, 1900 defense. The defense is, is decent. Has a scale of 2. It's a fire warrior. Igknight drag off has 1700 attack, 1300 defense. This 1700 attack is pretty good. It's decent. Could run over a couple things. And it's a fire warrior. Pendulum monster, obviously. I already explained. Unexpected guy helps you get into your exceed place because it gives you a free monster. So it thins out your deck and helps you set up exceed and synchro plays. Galaxy Cyclone. Target a set spell or trap card on the field, destroy it. Even if your opponent chains the card, you still destroy it, if it's a continuous trap card or something. Like, let's say you target a face down called a haunted, and they chain it so they can summon a monster. Yeah, they'll summon a monster, and then call a haunted will be destroyed, and the monster will be destroyed afterwards. So, has a secondary effect is that if this is in your graveyard, and you can during your main phase, except that you can banish this from your graveyard to destroy one spell or trap card that's face up on the field. Except you can't activate that effect in the turn in which this went to the graveyard. So during your main phase, except during the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish it. So that's pretty good for getting rid of stuff like Vanity's Emptiness, your opponent's Pendulum Scale, like at least one of the cards from their scale, all that good stuff. So you get 2 destruction out of the card. Then we got Bait Doll. Oh yeah, Bait Doll's back. Bait Doll, target a face down spell or trap. Reveal that target, forces activation. If it is a trap card, then negate its effect if the activation is incorrect. If it's the wrong time to activate the card, and destroy it. If it's not a trap, return it face down. When this card resolves, reshuffle it into the deck instead of sending it to the graveyard. This will always go back into the deck unless it gets countered. Like, you gotta negate Bait Doll's effect. Missile Space Typhoon. Target one spell and trap card on the field and destroy it. It's a quick play, so you can play it during either player's turn, as long as it's on the field. Pretty standard. Lose a turn. Activate only if you control no special summoned monsters. Way you can do that is if you have a Stardust Assault on the field, for example, and you have this face down, and somebody activates a card effect, activate Stardust Assault mode's effect to negate that card. Now you have no monster on your side field that was special summoned. Then you can activate this card, and then this thing will have a continuous effect of negate the effects of all special summon monsters during the turn they are special summoned. An interesting thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, whenever a monster is summoned, this thing triggers. So this is a trigger effect. It triggers and activates. Interesting enough, it looks like I can actually negate this with Stardust Assault mode. So if Stardust Assault mode comes back and this triggers to negate Stardust and switch them to defense, I can actually use Stardust Assault mode's effect to negate this card and destroy it. So it's a way you can turn it off for yourself to keep, you can keep that in mind. It's a way you can turn it off for yourself if you want, where you get end phase, use Stardust Assault mode to negate and destroy this, and then Stardust Assault mode will just come back afterwards since it's end phase, and you don't have to worry about him being defense, he'll be in attack mode, ready to roll. And then you can use all your monsters effects that you special summon this, that, and third. So it's something to keep in mind. And then of course, if an effect monster or monsters is special summoned in attack position, change into defense, which is great. And I like the fact that it says more than one effect monster, which means if your opponent Pendulum summons a bunch of effect monsters, they will all switch to defense. And then if they exceed summon, for example, those monsters will go to defense and negates the effects. It's just all lots of fun. It slows down and it's only effective for that turn. It doesn't continuously keep those monsters' effects negated for the remainder of the you know, the duel. Obviously, it's not skill drain, but it's good enough. It can slow down the duel just enough to give you a fighting chance to make a comeback, right? Especially if you're in a position where your opponent's dropping stuff left and right. Notice an interesting thing is, since this effect is not like skill drain, where it essentially just resolves after the activation of an effect, it triggers when a monster is summoned. So the interesting thing is, if you summon Igknight with this while this is on the field, this will trigger, right? It's not continuous like skill drain. It will trigger. You can actually, since Igknight is a quick effect, you can chain to this effect and use Igknight's ability. And if Igknight doesn't get negated by anything else, Igknight will destroy everything on the field. Let's see. There's one little tip there to keep in mind in case you want to deal with this lose a turn. You can use Igknight basically to get around this thing's effect. So it sucks, it can't stop Igknight essentially. That's what I'm trying to say, right? It's like, darn, that's the one you want to negate, you want to stop. But anyway, red screen for defense, especially against XYZs. You can attack, your opponent cannot. During your end phase, you pay 1,000. That's not optional. If you have exactly 1,000 life points left during your end phase, this thing will cause you to lose that 1,000, and you will, you know, lose the duel. So be careful about taking hits and protect your life points to the best of your abilities. But this is still a great card. It's better. It's better than nothing. But if you have less than 1,000, this thing will self-destruct, and you'll have whatever you have left over. So if you have 900 left over, you have 900 left over, right? That's good to keep in mind. I did see something weird at one time where Royal Decree didn't stop the whole payment thing. So if you have this and you Royal Decree, you're gonna pretty much still be playing red screen. I haven't been in that scenario as of late. But there was a time where I remember having these two on the field and I still was losing 1,000. It's like, that's not good. But anyway, continue on. Assault mode, activate. Obviously you need that to turn Stardust into Stardust Assault mode. Royal Decree helps you with, you know, any trap heavy decks like Chain Burn, you know, Floodgates, you know, like Vanity's Emptiness, your opponent's skill drains, maybe somebody else's lose a turn, or the band plays on, summon limit. I mean, there's tons of traps out there. Phoenix Chain, obviously stuff like Mirror Force, Warning, The Prison Compulse, so on and so on. The list goes on and on. Burning Abyss is Fire Lake and Steed from the Ritual Beast, and just obviously it's just a good card. Don't need to explain it too much. Obviously, if you play it right, it will definitely hurt your opponent. And a simple OP overpowered Soul Charge helps you definitely in the pinch. It can definitely help you turn the duel around. Number 86, Heroic Champion, Rongomiant, I guess. Rongo, I guess I call him. Well, number 86, he's just good, and there are a lot of warriors in this deck, so it wouldn't be that hard to get a couple of warriors on the field to get him pretty beefy. With just one material, he can't be destroyed by battle, so that's decent enough. Nice little defender with one material. With two materials, he's a nice 3,000 beater, so you can't argue with that. With three materials, he's a 3,000 beater. They can't be destroyed by battle. There's also unaffected by other card effects. That is really nice. I haven't yet summoned him personally myself, so I don't know. It'll probably work if I use 3 materials to make him. That would that effect would allow him to be unaffected by lose a turn's effect, so that would definitely be useful in combination with lose a turn. Going on, if you have 4 or more materials, you are a 3000 that can't be destroyed by battle, that's unaffected by other card effects, and your opponent cannot normal summon or special summon. You gotta love that. And an easy way to go into that is soul charge. The other way, of course, is to pendulum summon. Then we have 5 or more materials. Once per turn, you can destroy all cards your opponent controls. Can't argue with that result. Again, you're gonna soul charge into that power. So that's all the gravy. So moving on. Heroic Champion Excalibur. Since you have a lot of words in the deck, it wouldn't be that hard to go into this bad boy. And the ability to detach both materials to turn him into a nice little 4000 beater until that your opponent's end phase. Very useful, so helps you get over a lot of strong monsters. Blade Armor Ninja. Detach a material, target a ninja monster you control. That monster can attack twice during each battle phase. So that's very useful, because you can pendulum summon into this combo. I mean, into making him, for example, and go in for 4,400 points of damage. You can also obviously go into it with an unexpected guy in any of your low 4, warrior. Go into him and go in there and go in for some good damage. Wing Sky Blaster Castel. Castel the Sky Blaster. You can detach one XYZ material from this card to target one face-up monster on the field and change the face-up defense position. Or the effect you use 99.999% of the time is you detach 2 materials to target one face-up card on the field and bounce and shuffle that card back into the owner's deck. And obviously that's good for getting rid of anything that might be problematic, like maybe a royal decree or a monster that can't be destroyed by battle or card effects, stuff like that, or just something problematic or just a big strong monster. Obviously, Exciton Knight. Detach 1 material once per chain. This is a quick effect during your main phase or your opponent's battle phase. If your opponent has more cards than you in total hand and their side of the field combined, you can detach a material from this card and destroy all other cards on the field. Also, your opponent takes no further damage this turn. So that's pretty good. Obviously, it'll help you clear the field, especially if your opponent has pretty big field advantage. You might want to even the score or level the playing field, as it were, literally. Number 101 Silent Honor Arc. It's good defensively because you can, if it would be destroyed by a battle card effect, you can detach a material, so it is not. You can detach 2 materials from this card to target 1 special summon monster your opponent controls and face up attack position and attach it to this card as XYZ material. So that's very useful against any monster that's special summon. Plus it's good defensively, and it's a nice little 2100, can't argue with that. We have number 62 Galaxy Eyes Prime Photon Dragon. You'll use 2 level 8s to create it, like 2 of your level 8 synchros. It'll be rare to summon it, but whenever you do, it's more likely because you need that 4000 beat stick, or even more, because then you detach material. He'll gain 200 attack for each rank combined from all the XYZ monsters currently on the field. So this is good against anybody else who's XYZ summoning, right? So if they have Exceed monsters, you'll get power boost by just detaching material. But if you do not have Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon as a XYZ material, Any battle damage that Prime Photon Dragon does is cut in half. But hey, you can make Prime Dragon pretty strong to run over anything that's, you know, too strong to handle. We have Crimson Blader. Pretty good against a lot of decks that obviously normal or special summon level 5 or higher monsters. It's an 8-star Synchro Fire Warrior. So obviously that's pretty useful. Something I don't really do much, but it is possible to do. Since he is a Fire Warrior, you can recycle him by using your Pendulum monster's Pendulum effect. So you don't have to have like Musket and Dragonoff to pull that off. You can have 2 Dragonoffs, you know, one in each Pendulum zone to pull off the Pendulum effect, which is to pop all cards in your Pendulum zones and then add 1 Fire Warrior type monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand, and that's how you can recycle your Crimson Blader, by using the Pendulums monsters to add them from the graveyard to your hand, which will cause them to go back into your extra deck. And that's a good way you can recycle, just because you can. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, your opponent cannot normal summon or special summon level 5 or higher monster during their next turn. That's the turn after you obviously attacked and killed their monster, typically. Black Winged Dragon. It's mainly for burn decks, like Chain Burn for example. Whenever you would take damage from a card effect, place 1 black feather counter on this card instead. This card loses 700 attack for each black feather counter on it. Once per turn, you can remove all black feather counters on this card to have 1 face-up monster your opponent controls lose 700 attack for each black feather counter and inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack loss by that monster by this effect. So your opponent tried to burn you, Black Winged Dragon absorbs it. You can launch it at your opponent's monster to make your opponent's monster weaker. Your opponent takes damage, and then you can attack his monster and deal him even more damage because your monster is stronger. Colossal Fighter. It's a Dark Warrior, so you can't recycle him. This card gains 100 attack for each warrior type monster in your graveyard. This deck has a lot of warriors in it, so and since you exceed and synchro and whatnot, you know, you can add a pretty good amount of warriors in your graveyard. But you also get 100 attack for each warrior type monster in your opponent's graveyard as well. So this is good against a warrior deck, you know, in case you're going up against the mirror match or whatnot. If this monster destroys out of battle and sent to the graveyard, you can select 1 warrior type monster from either player's graveyard and special summon it. Typically, you'll target himself for his effect and bring him back. So it makes a good wall, good little defense. He only has 1,000 defense, not so great, but since he can constantly keep bringing himself back, it makes a good little wall. Plus, he's good when you kamikaze, you know, as it were, when you attack this card to another card with equal power. Both monsters die. Colossal Fighter will come back. Colossal Fighter can now attack since he will count as being a new monster that was summoned. So you can proceed to attack. So if your opponent's wide open, attack him directly. Or if he has another monster with attack equal to Colossal Fighter, attack that monster. You know, your monster and his monster will go graveyard. You activate Colossal Fighter's effect, bring him back, and proceed to attack again until you can no longer perform that combo. Snapdragon, level 8, 2800 attack, Earth Dragon. Once per turn, you can select 1 card you control and 1 card your opponent controls, and then destroy both those cards. When this card is destroyed by your opponent's card effect, either by battle or by card effect, and sent to the graveyard, you can select 1 non-synchro scrap monster in your graveyard and special summon. It'd be nice if you could target him and bring him back by his own effect, but his effect won't let you do that. But of course, any card that might be a dead draw, you know, or you could just, you know, or if you have, he's also useful to use if you have a pendulum skill. Let's say you have 2 muskets and you want to get rid of one of the muskets so that way you can play your Dragunov and Pendulum Summon, you know. And let's say you have, you know, any one of the tuners and you have Unexpected Guy, then you can just pull off the combo, right? Make Scrap Dragon, use Scrap Dragon, and destroy your second musket. That way, now you have, and pop, you know, destroy one of your opponent's cards on his side of the field. Let's say he has a face down Mirror Force. Good for you, you just got rid of Mirror Force. And then now you can play your Dragunov, and then Pendulum Summon. Now you have a whole bunch of monsters on the field. You should be able to go in for game, right? So that's just something you can do. High Red Dragon Archfiend, level 8, 3000 Dark Dragon. Once per turn during your main phase 1, you can destroy all other face-up attack position monsters on the field. Other monsters cannot attack during the turn you activate this effect. It's really good for getting rid of, you know, your opponent's swarm. If you try to summon a whole bunch of monsters attack you and you're like, nope, red screen, defend myself, my turn. You know, whatever combo I use to go into hot red, you know, Unexpected Guy and a tuner, whatever, boom, hot red, clear the field, attack directly for 3000. Gotta love that. And of course 3 Stardust, so you can go into your assault modes. And of course Stardust, during either player's turn, when a card or card effects is activated that would destroy a card or cards on the field, you contribute this card to negate the activation if you do destroy it. During the end phase, if this effect was activated this turn and was not negated, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. Tributing him is a cost for activating his effect. His effect resolves in the graveyard. So if Skill Drain was on the field, or if Lose a Turn was on the field, for example, in this case I use Lose a Turn instead of Skill Drain, it won't prevent Stardust or Stardust Assault Mode from being able to do, you know, their effects, because you attributing them is a cost. If you're curious about Lose a Turn and Colossal Fighter, it essentially will work similar to Skill Drain. When Colossal Fighter goes to the graveyard, that's when he'll resolve. Will be in the grave, not on the field. So he'll be able to keep coming back over and over again. And that's the end of the deck profile.